Hilchos Maaseh Hakorbanos Perek Shvi, the laws of sacrificial procedures, chapter 7. We're going into the details of specific sacrifices. Yesterday it was the oila, the burnt offering, and today it's the chatas, the sin offering. And we're going to be dealing with the sin offering actually today and tomorrow, because the sin offering has some special features that need a little more exploration. So today is going to be the more general outline of the chatas, and tomorrow the specific law that applies to a chatas, that it can make clothing or utensils impure. It says that Rambam Malacha Aleph Mitzvah Sasei, it's a positive commandment, Lasos Hachatois Kemitzvason Amuda Batoira, to perform the chatas procedure, the procedure for the sin offering, like the mitzvah stated in the Torah. The Ketzad Maaseh Chatas HaNe'echeles. So how exactly do you go about performing the chatas? So there's two types. There's a chatas that's burnt and a chatas that's eaten. The chatas that's burnt is totally burnt on the Mizbeach or outside of the city, as we'll see. And then there's a sin offering which is eaten by the Kohanim. So first we begin with the one that's eaten. How do you perform the one that's eaten? First of all, you slaughter it and you apply the blood as we explained, which is different than the application of blood for a regular burnt offering. Regular burnt offering, the blood was thrown from the basin straight onto the bottom half of the Mizbeach. For the chatas, as we saw 2 days ago, the halacha is that you actually apply it with your finger to the top of the Mizbeach. So you slaughter it and you apply the blood as we explained. Umafshita, and then you skin it. Umafrisha emurim, and you separate the parts that go onto the Mizbeach. Umoilchan v'zerkan al gabi ishim, and then you, here's the skinning, and then you salt them and you throw them onto the fire as we saw yesterday. If you wanted to put the sacrificial parts into a utensil, when you bring them to the altar, you don't want to take them by hand, nice, and that's okay, you can do that. The implication is that by the burnt offering, they had to take it by hand. But here, you can put it into a utensil. Ush'ar besara, and the rest of the meat that wasn't offered on the Mizbeach, nechal lezichre kahuna ba'azara, is eaten by the male Kohanim in the temple courtyard. Here's a picture of their supposed eating of the sacrificial meats, even though we once spoke about how it's very possible, that, at least according to some opinions, that since nobody is allowed to sit in the temple courtyard, it's very possible that they used to eat the meat standing, because only a king can sit in the Azara, and since they had to eat it in the Azara, they probably would stand. But maybe they also sat, because that's the way you eat sitting. Halacha Beis, v'keitzad Maaseh chatois hanisrafos. How do we go about performing the procedure for the burnt sin offerings? Sheichit v'zerek damam kamesha be'arnu, we slaughter them, we sprinkle their blood as we explained. V'achar kach kairam, and then you tear them open. You don't skin them, you tear them right open. U'moitzi ha'emurim, and you take out the parts that are going to go on the mizbeach. V'noisnan bekli, and you place them into a utensil. Unlike before with the eaten ones where it was an option, here it's not an option. You have to put them into a utensil. U'moilchan, you salt them. V'zerkan al gabi ishim, and you throw them onto the fire. And then u'moitzi she'erisan chutz la'ir. You take out whatever remains outside the city. There was a special place where they used to burn these burnt sacrifices. You cut them up the same way you cut up the burnt offering as we learned yesterday. But whereas the burnt offering, you cut it up after skinning, here you cut it up with the skin, with the hide. And you burn it there in what's called the Beis Hadeshen, the place of the ash. Now, as the Rambam immediately clarifies, there's actually 3 locations where sacrifices could be burnt. On the altar is where they're offered. That's called haktara. That's not called sreifa. That's called offering. There are 3 other times where Torah mandates that sacrifices be burnt in 3 different locations. Echad b'soicha azara. One burning location was actually inside the temple courtyard. Off of the altar, there was a place, ubay surfin psulei hamukdashim, where they would burn any disqualified sacrifices, ve'emurei kadashim kalim shenifsalu, and the inside parts of lighter level sacrifices which became disqualified as well. Uparim musi'irim shel chatois hanisrafos im eira bahem psul, and the bulls and the goats that were supposed to be burnt, but if something disqualifying happened to them, bein lifnei zrika, bein la'achar zrika, before or after the application of the blood, let's say they contracted some ritual impurity, they touched a dead body or whatever, or they exited the temple courtyard before they were supposed to, or the flesh or the inside parts that were supposed to be sacrificed stayed overnight, That's called a psul. It's a disqualifying factor. And in this case, these stuff would be burnt inside the azara, in the burning location inside the temple courtyard. There was a second location for burning, Ushmai Bira. It was called the Bira, and it was on the Temple Mount, in the plaza outside the temple structure. Ubay Serfim, Chatois Hanisrafais, Im Eira Bahin Psul, Achar Tsesan Min Ha'azara. They would burn over there sin offerings, which are anyways meant to be burnt, if they became disqualified after leaving the temple courtyard. So you were carrying them out properly, and then on the way, they became disqualified. Boom, you stop right over there, bring them to the Bira, the burning location on Temple Mount, and you burn them. The third place, this is the ideal place. Chutz l'Yerushalayim. That's outside of Jerusalem, outside the city. See over here, these are the walls of Yerushalayim. This is outside the walls. And that's called in halacha the house of the ash. V'sham serfin chatois hanisrafais bizman shehein nisrafais k'mitzvasan. And that was where you burnt sin offerings that were meant to be burnt when they're burnt properly. So it's kind of funny, in which the further it is from the Beis HaMikdash is the more proper. If the burnt offering was burnt properly, it was burnt all the way outside Yerushalayim. If it became disqualified after leaving the temple courtyard, it was burnt closer on the Harabayas. If it was disqualified in the temple courtyard, it was burnt right on site. But those aren't the ideal scenario. The ideal scenario is you take it outside the city and you burn it over there.
These are just the sin offerings.
Just sin offerings, yeah. Halacha hey, yusreifas kol hanisrafin, burning all of the sacrifices that have to be burned. Ksheira bizar ubalayla is kosher with a non-Kohen. It's kosher by night. So unlike offering a regular sacrifice on the Mizbeach, you have to have a Kohen and it has to be by day. This, to begin with, anybody can be involved, even by night. When you burn something outside the temple courtyard, you can use any wood. Again, on the altar, you have to have checked wood, can't have any worms, can't come from a demolition site, right? But over here, all wood is kosher. Afilu b'kashu v'gvava, even not wood, even straw or stubble. Shanemar, because it says that when you burn it, you have to burn it al eitzim ba'esh, on wood in the fire. Eish mikol makom, any type of fire, even if it's created not by wood. Why does it say wood? The Torah says the word wood to disqualify lime or hot ash. But as to which type of wood or which type of fuel, it could be any fuel. So that covers the laws of sin offerings that are animals. Chatas ha'oif. What about a bird sin offering? How was the bird sin offering performed? So first of all, you do malika, as we explained yesterday. What malika is, it's where you stick in your nail to the back of the neck, that's how you slaughter it. And you do this on the southwestern corner. That's over here. This is the southwestern corner, closest to the heichal. The Yerid B'tziparnoi, again you take your nail, you stick it in, you go down, till you cut through both pipes, windpipe and the food pipe, or at least most of one of them. Unlike the burnt offering where there's a mitzvah to sever the head, here you cannot sever the head from the body. If you did, you've disqualified it, and you get lashes. Shanemar, it says clearly in the Torah, you do malika to its head on the back of its neck, and you don't sever. And you sprinkle its blood on the wall of the mizbeach on the bottom half. It's kind of interesting. When it comes to the sin offering of the animal, you apply it on the top half. When it comes to the sin offering of the bird, you apply the blood on the bottom half. But the burnt offering, it's the opposite. Burnt offering of a bird is on top. Burnt offering of the animal is on bottom. The leftover blood, because they were applied over here on the corner of the mizbeach, on the bottom half, they would drip down to the base. Shanemar, as it says, same verse, the remainder of the blood shall squeeze down or drip down to the base of the mizbeach. Miklal, which means shahanesina al kir shahashiyarin shalei mismatzen al yisait. You have to apply the blood onto a wall where the blood's remainders can come to the base. Tezehu kirat tachton, which is the lower wall. Right? If you apply the blood over here on the top, then what's going to happen? The blood's going to end up on the walkway. Won't flow all the way down. But if you apply it over here, Now the leftover blood will come down to the base. That's how we know that the bird sin offering, you apply the blood on the bottom half. Halacha zayin umitzui dam chatas ha'oif me'akev. This squeezing of the blood of the sin offering bird is essential. You have to do this procedure. Ve'ein la mizbeach ba ela dama, and that's it. That's all the altar gets. There is no part of a bird sin offering which goes onto the mizbeach. Only the blood is sprinkled. V'hashar nechal zichre kahuna kibsar chatas habehema. The rest is eaten by male kohanim, like the flesh of a animal sin offering. Halacha ches ketzad oiches chatas ha'oif b'shas malika. How do you hold a bird sin offering when you do malika? Just like this. They tried to imitate the position over here. Oiches shtei ragleha bein shtei etzba'osav. You hold its 2 feet between 2 of your fingers. Ushtei agapeha bein shtei etzba'osav, and 2 of its wings between your 2 fingers. Umayseach tzavara el reichav shtei etzba'osav, and you stretch out its neck to the width of 2 fingers. Umaylek, and from that position you dig in and you do malika. V'zu me'avodos kashes shebamikdash. This is one of the most difficult services to perform in the temple. You have to be very talented to know exactly what you're doing. If you changed it and you held it any other way, it's still kosher. But this is the ideal way. Anywhere you are on the mizbeach is kosher to do malika. You can be standing anywhere. So long as you sprinkle its blood on the bottom half of the mizbeach. If you ended up sprinkling it anywhere, it's kosher. So long as at least a little bit of the lifeblood is sprinkled on the bottom half. Halacha Yud, we mentioned at the southwestern corner right over here was where the bird sin offering was performed. It says the Rambam shleisha dvarim chesakeren dreimis ma'aravish meshameshes l'mayla ushleisha milamata. This corner was very popularly used in temple service. It was used for 3 things on its top half and 3 things on its bottom half. This southwestern corner right here. Milamata, what was done on the bottom half? Chatas ha'oif, the burnt sin offering, as we just explained. V'hagashas hamenachos, and bringing the flower offerings close. We'll explore this later when we deal with the flower offerings at length. But part of the service, part of the integral service of a flower offering, like the animal offering was always, the blood was sprinkled on the mizbeach, the equivalent of sprinkling the blood when it comes to a flower offering is touching the flower offering to the corner of the mizbeach. Hagasha, bringing close. That was done over here, on the bottom half of the southwestern corner. Ushyare hadam shel oilis v'chatois hane'echolis v'ashamis ushlamim sheshevchin aleha, and the leftover blood of burnt offerings, eaten sin offerings, guilt offerings, peace offerings were poured over here on the base on the southwestern corner. That's the 3 things on the bottom. V'ashleisha shel maila, the 3 on top, nisu chamayim shemenaschin b'chag, was first of all pouring of the water. You can see over here these 2 bowls. On top of the mizbeach, they were used, one for water, one for wine on Sukkot. Here's another view. Here's the Kohen pouring the water. Same time Kohen is pouring the wine into the 2 bowls. That was done over here on the southwestern corner. The nisu chayayin shal nesachim, the pouring of the wine in general of accompanying libations, which on Sukkot was done into the bowl. And the rest of the year, as the Rambam said before, was done onto the yisoid, onto the base, but it was done from up here, from the top half of the southwestern corner. And burnt bird offerings when there was too many of them. Because like we learned yesterday, a burnt offering was actually ideally offered on the southeastern corner. But if there was too many, if the southeastern corner couldn't contain that there was too many bird offerings that had to be burnt, you would go to the southwestern corner and do it there. Halacha Yud Aleph, talking about these corners of the Mizbeach, it's very important to know that there was a special way to walk on the Mizbeach. Kol ha'oilin la-Mizbeach. Anybody who ascended the Mizbeach, oilin derech yamin, always ascended on the right side. Umakifin v'yordin derech shmolim, would walk around the entirety of the Mizbeach and go down on the left side. Which means, if you were serving up here on the Mizbeach, you always walked up on the right side, took a walk all the way around, and went down here on the left side. Chutz min ha'oile le'echad mishleisha dvarim elu shelemayla bekeren zu, with the exception of these last 3 things that we just said. If you're on the southwestern corner over here, and you're performing an act of service on the top half, so if we're going to make you walk around, watch what happens. You're going to have to go over here and walk all the way around the Mizbeach till you get over here, and then do your service. Now, what's the problem with that? Says the Rambam, when people would come for these three things, they would go up immediately to the left side of the corner, do their work and come back. Why do they go to the left side? We want them to meet the southwestern corner immediately. If they're going to take the right turn, which will force them to go around the entire Mizbeach, till they reach southwestern corner, it's very possible that the water or the wine, which they want to offer over here, will become smoky from all the smoke around. Or the bird offering which you want to offer will also die, exposed to too much smoke. So if you have to operate over here, you go right on there. Therefore, when somebody performs the water or wine libation, when he circles the altar, which he doesn't have to do. Ideally, go up and do your thing right over here. But if he does, he shouldn't be holding anything. You take your walk and then get the water or the wine. And you would begin to circle from the southeastern corner to the northeastern corner over here. To the northwestern corner, to the southwestern corner, all without carrying anything. And when he reaches the southwestern corner, they would give him the water or the wine to pour. That's if he wanted to take that walk. I want to go to the right. So then fine, go empty-handed, and when you get to your place, we'll give you what you need. But if he chose not to go around, he wants to just do the service with the water or wine in his hand, go up, turn to the left, do what you have to do, and come right back down, because that was a special permission not to use the right-sided walking, just to go straight to where you have to be, so you don't end up exposing the wine or the water or the bird to unwanted elements.